Howdy. So we are going to jump right into this story. It's a great story. It's actually another child of the Bible. We don't know his name, but we don't know how old he was, but he was a lad. It was a boy. And I don't know, maybe he was 6, maybe he was 10, maybe he was 15. I don't know, but he was a kid. It's pretty obvious. And this book, or the story, is from the book of John. And what's interesting about this particular story, this narrative, as it was written in all 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And that's very unusual. There's only a few stories that they all wrote about. So this was very significant to them. And John, though, the last one, the 4th one, is the actual one that wrote about the boy and what he did. And what he did, I think, is fabulous. And that's why he made it into this series called Children of the Bible. All right, let's jump right in. Now, if you remember in past sessions, I drew a map of Israel a lot, and I drew this very famous and beautiful lake. It's called Sea of Galilee, or Gennesaret Lake, or Tiberias Lake, or in the Old Testament it's called Kinneret. But this is the top of the lake right here. If you remember the lake itself, kind of, if you watch my drawing, it kind of looks like this, like it looks like the beautiful country or continent of Africa. But anyway, at the top of this is beautiful water here. And at the top of this, there was a city called Capernaum, and we'll get into that more and more in the future if I do, as we do studies of the life of Jesus, because Jesus actually set up his headquarters, so to speak, right there. It was my town, it says in the Bible, which he actually grew up out of Nazareth, but he left and he came to that town. One of the reasons because there's a major big road that went through, and he wanted the gospel to be able to spread to the world. And it's the C over here stands for Capernaum, so that's where that town was. But there's another pretty good sized town, not as big as Capernaum, right here. And I like to spell that out for you real quick so you can kind of get a handle on this and see what it is. Right here, this town was called Bet. It's B-E-T, and then it went into it. Or sometimes they added the H. Spelling was not that important to them in the back in the day. And it was Bethsaida. Okay, Bethsaida. Okay. And I think that's really called the house of fishing. And by the way, speaking of fishing, this is a major place of fishing. Even the disciples, 4 of them fished. That was their occupation. Do you know who they were? Andrew, Peter, James, and John. And they were from that actual town. They lived there, John and them. And there were other disciples in there that lived there. But anyway, and then they moved. But let me go on. Let's get to the story. Notice this 5,000. What does that mean? Why are these arrows pointing in these directions? Well, I'll tell you why. Because as Jesus became more and more popular, he was preaching, he was teaching, and then he was healing people, just touching them and healing and speaking to them and delivering them. So, wow, did he become popular in this part of the world? And crowds of people were following him, and they were coming. And there was one occasion that they brought a bunch of sick. Actually, there was a lot of occasions like that. But they brought these sick while he was up in this area. And a few miles, about 3 to 4 miles from the Sea of Galilee, with this city, and a little bit outside on the east side of Jordan River here, there was this town. And then a mile this way, northeast, was this beautiful open area, kind of like a amphitheater almost. And so God led him so perfectly there in that area. And all these people came from all over. And there were about 5,000 men. That's a lot of people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So you got 5,000 men. Now that's a round figure. It could be more than that. It could be a little bit less. Maybe it was 4,977, or something like that. But they rounded it off like we do today to 5,000 men. Now, women and children were there too, the Bible says. Wow. So we have 5,000 men. I don't know how many women. Let's say a lot of their wives came and they brought their kids. So let's say there were 5,000 women. That's 10,000 people. And then you have a bunch of kids in those days. That's another 5,000, 10,000 kids. Well, it's possible that mainly men followed him, and a lot of the women stayed at home and took care of the kids and all that. And some of the men had to stay at home too and work and all that. But they followed him out there. Now, when they went out there, he started healing. And he healed and healed and healed. And so this went all day long. And he started teaching. He taught. And he was teaching. By the way, in that amphitheater thing, he didn't need it. Like, they didn't have microphones. Hello, ladies. Test, check, mic check, mic check. They didn't have microphones in those days. But it's been proven that if you get to a spot in this area, it's kind of downhill a little bit, and you kind of speak, and you can hear him from a distance. So that's pretty cool that he actually spoke there. Now, as it got later in the day, like probably 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5, people were getting hungry. They were there like maybe in the morning, early afternoon. People were starting to get hungry, and they were like, oh, there's babies, these kids to feed. And so the disciples were wondering what was going to happen. But before that, I think Philip actually was standing by Jesus. Philip was one of his 12 apostles. And Jesus turned to him and say, where can we get enough food to be able to feed all these people? What? Are you kidding? Like 10,000 or whatever, or however many. And then where are we going to get food? We're out here in this kind of wilderness area. And the grass, they were on grass, there's green grass, a lot of grass there at certain times of the year. And so Philip was like, well, it would take 8 months of work to make money, to get a salary, to get wages, to be able to feed all these people one meal. Like, yeah, right, Jesus. And Jesus just dropped that little question. And then I think Jesus went on to talk some more and preach, and it was echoing. People were just being fed spiritually for sure. And they were learning, and wow, it's a fantastic message. And I think Philip went to Andrew and said, you know what Jesus asked me like this? Where are we going to get enough money to do that? And he went, what? Are you kidding me? And then it kind of word spread, and the disciples were like, Jesus went cuckoo again. Like he's crazy, And so finally, one of them came up to Jesus, and he kind of quieted down. They were all sitting there and just kind of pausing for a second. And I think it was Andrew or someone went to Jesus and said, well, like the only food that we have here is, they saw a boy's lunch. I don't know if it was his lunch, but they mentioned this boy. Now, it's also possible that this little boy, I don't know how old he is, 8-year-old or whatever, 10, 12, he may have overheard that and said, hey, I have food. I mean, I love this little kid. In my opinion, he made it to heaven, by the way. Like just this one story, maybe this is his only encounter with Jesus, rocked his world, changed his life. What he did, what Jesus did here is a miracle, miracle, miracle. And so what happened is this boy had 12 loaves of barley bread. Barley was a real staple food that was used a lot. Now, I don't have a whole loaf of bread, but we'll act like this slice equals 1. 2 loaves of bread, 3 loaves of bread. This is multi-grain bread that I eat, in different types of bread and all. But anyway, this is 4. How many? 5 whole loaves. Okay, so let's let this represent the loaves of bread. So the boy had this food. Maybe he wasn't with his family. Maybe he was old enough they didn't have to be. Or maybe he was with his aunt or uncle or whatever. Maybe it was his family and he happened to have some food and he was carrying it. I don't know the details. And I want to ask the kid when I get to heaven. In my opinion, he's there, and I can't wait to sit down and I'll go like, now tell me all about it. I want to know the details. So, and I would love to know those details. But anyway, it's okay. We know that he had 5 loaves of bread. Then he had, guess what? Did he have tuna? I have a can here that someone gave me. It was just a precious gift from someone. Let's see, Sarkis chunk like tuna right here. Here's some fish, or it could have been what I really like, you guys. And this is either you love them or you hate them. And I think most people don't like them, but I love anchovies. Yeah. Okay, these are flat anchovies right here. Anchovies. They're real skinny type of fish. Do you like fish? I wish I could know, what your answer is. I love fish. I mean, not all the fish probably, but I love this, especially anchovies. You're probably going, yuck. Some of you are going, what does it taste like? And I'll tell you what they look like. I have a couple of them here. You're going, ew. Some of you, no, this is good, you guys. Don't judge this fish by its cover. I just want to eat it. Oh, I love it. Sorry. Anyway, I don't want to eat in front of you, but anyway, so we have 2 of those. So I actually have 2 of the fish here, like here, but they weren't anchovies. Now, what type of fish were they? I'm going to tell you what they were. They were like sardines. In the book of John, when that word fish is mentioned, if you go underneath it, what the original language was Greek, and it indicates a type of fish that were like actual sardines. So It's kind of cool. They were what I had here, and it was sardines. And in that lake, in that awesome, beautiful lake right here, there are maybe millions of sardines, like fish. Now, there's bigger ones too, but this is a really popular type of fish. And that boy maybe was part of the fishing family in this area, and he eats fish a lot, you know. And so I love salmon, I like fish, I like sardines. Anyway, so here this kid, he probably had fish from that actual Sea of Galilee. And he had fish, and so I'm going to open this up right here. This is sardines, and I'm going to pull out one fish. I already have one out. Ooh. Oh no, I don't know if I want to bring this out. It's got mustard. I forgot. I like mustard stuff. I like oil better, but I'll just show you one of the fish. Okay, so instead of pulling this one out, because that could get really sticky or, you know, drop it or whatever, and I've got mustard then on my carpeted floor, so I don't want to do that. But here's an actual sardine fish. See if I can get this on here. Yeah, I'll put it on the bread too. There, can you see that? That's the sardine right there. And they're kind of small. And the kid probably had some. He already has cut off his head. You know, eat the eyeballs in the fish's head. But he already had that ready so that if he got hungry, he would be able to eat it. He may even, if you think about it, he probably was ready to eat it. Or maybe he ate some other stuff beforehand. I don't know. But here's the point of the story. He offered that fish and that bread. I don't believe at all that Jesus said, take it away from him. No way. He's not going to force him to give that food up. So he gave it. This is a kind of a, maybe we don't know all about this boy, but he was like a number one boy, is a really great little child, because, you know, he's probably pretty hungry. He had this food and, and like, I want to eat this food. I don't want to give this. He could have said, maybe brought a little extra to give one loaf of bread to someone or something, but not everything. He gave everything. This kid is a great example for you and me. That boy gave everything to Jesus. 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes, he gave it to Jesus. And now he had nothing. Think about that. Empty. He could have said, yeah, but I'm going to get hungry later and all that. No, he didn't care. What a heart. What a great little heart of a little boy that gave everything he had. What type of heart do you want? What type of heart do you have now? You need to look at yourself and say, do I want to be doing that? Yes. Become a number one child. So if they wrote a Bible today, your name would be in it. You know? And so what Jesus did, by the way, the end of the story is, and in my opinion, by the way, he probably went over to the boy. Well, let me talk to the lad and imagine Jesus Christ coming to you and looking in your eyes with contentment and smiling. And he says, thanks so much, little guy. Okay. I'd never forget that. I go home. Jesus thanked me. You know what? Jesus wants to thank you when you stand before him. And I believe that kid made it to heaven, because what Jesus did is took that small amount of food and he multiplied it. Like, not added, multiplied. And he fed all those thousands of people who were hungry with a boy's lunch, or with just a little pack of food. You say, how do you do it? Power of God. By the way, in the Old Testament, God sent down manna from heaven. See, this is kind of a parallel story. If you don't know this story, God sent down manna from heaven for 40 years. Manna means, like, what is it? It means that, like, what type of special sort of food? God, sent down literal manna every night. He would put it on the ground, and there would be food for them for 40 years for about 3 million people or so. So yeah, God could do it. So God could easily multiply anything. He could take your little bit, whatever you have. Maybe you feel like you don't have much. You don't feel like you're like an average little boy or little girl, you feel like. And maybe you're not that great in sports or this or that, or like maybe you're not great in math. I wasn't good at math. I definitely am glad he wouldn't have asked me, Philip. I mean, he asked Philip, but, I don't know what that would be. He figured it out. But here's my point. I think you got the point, don't you? Get the point. Jesus took that little bit that boy gave to him, and he used it to impact a lot of people in life. You need to come with your heart and with your soul and with your body, offer it to Jesus, just like that little boy did. Say, Lord, I give all my heart to you. I give everything that I have. And sometimes God may want to call you to give money away like crazy, maybe all your money, and then God will take care of you. By the way, that boy got food that day. He didn't go hungry. And you won't either. If you give everything away, do that type of giving, he'll always take care of you. Why? Because he multiplied all that food. They even had 12 baskets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 baskets full of leftovers. And they probably took those 12 baskets. Maybe they gave several or maybe at least one basket to the boy. Here, you take this. Now he's got all this, and he multiplied and gave it to. The Bible says, given it shall be given. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over like tons. He'll abundantly supply you. And so that boy got back what he gave. Always happens. You sow, you're going to reap. You're going to get back. And so, child, give. Did I say it enough? Give. Give of yourself, give of your heart, give of your prayers, give of your money, give of your life, and God will take care of you. Then someday you'll stand before Jesus and he'll say, thank you for what you did. Become like that little boy, that little lad. I'm about to cry. Oh, I love it. It's a great story. Please, child, let him be your example and follow that. God bless you.